for the first panel discussion is Reimagining Government Service Delivery Through Digital Transformation. So the moderator for our first panel discussion is Mr. Satish Kaushal, Strategic Advisor, Deloitte, India. Can we please have him here on stage? And of course, ladies and gentlemen, with your applauses, everyone. And the speakers for this panel discussion are Mr. Debendra Dalai, IFS Secretary, Department of Science and Technology and Renewable Energy Administration of Chandigarh. Up next, the next speaker is Mr. Amit Sharma, IAS Secretary, Department of Mines, UT of Jammu and Kashmir. Dr. Virender Sharma, HPS Secretary, Food Commission, Government of Himachal Pradesh. Mr. Purva Garg, IAS Secretary, Department of Education, Administration of Chandigarh. Ms. Purva Garg, IAS Secretary, Department of Education, Administration of Chandigarh. Mr. Nitin Sangwan, IAS Director, Department of Information Technology and eGovernance, Government of Gujarat. Mr. M. Bharani, DANICS, Deputy Secretary, Department of Information Technology, Government of NCT of Delhi. Mr. Raveesh, Reddy, Vice President, Government Business, Quixy. Mr. Munish, Chandan, Head State eGovernance Mission Team and Chief Information Technology Officer, Haryana, and Head State eGovernance Mission Team, JNK. Mr. Jasminder Pal Singh, Head State eGovernance Mission Team, Government of Punjab. Mr. Divyang Singh, IAS Chief Executive Officer, Indore Smart City Limited. So here we have our dignitaries for the first panel discussion, and the moderator is Mr. Satish Kaushal, Strategic Advisor, Deloitte, India. So over to the brilliant minds here. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the first panel discussion that we're going to have today. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My co-panelists, ladies and gentlemen. The subject here today, what we're going to discuss, is reimagining public services in the current digital age. Three important data points before I get the context of today's discussion set in. I'll just like to elucidate. Last night, around 11:30, there was a coverage on Mission Dost. I don't know how many of you know what Mission Dost is all about. It is a program launched 4 days back by Government of India to support the earthquake disaster that has happened in Turkey. How digital tools are being used by Government of India and Indian authorities is phenomenally written in that document, and there was a TV coverage that at 10:30, when Government of India heard about the disaster, at 11 o'clock there was a meeting of the Cabinet Secretary, Principal Secretary to the CM, and it was decided at the highest level, whatever it takes, we will be among the first few nations to reach the country which is facing a catastrophic situation. By 3:30 p.m., all the things were put in place. The ambassador to Turkey was called at 11:30 to just ask his government if India wants to send its services, relief services, would it accept it? And they were accepted with a mail. And he himself coined the word dost. Dost in Turkish and in Indian Urdu language means friend. That is how this word has come in. And this mission is now in full place, and within last 48 hours, India has sent tons and tons of relief material. More importantly, it has set up 5 command control centers in the 1.2 square kilometer area, which has been affected by the onslaught of 7.8 on the Richter scale. That's the power of the transformation that India has gone through, experienced during COVID, during the disaster in Uttarakhand, and that is how the whole leapfrogging by Indian government has been done to a country which was not very comfortable with Indian foreign policy. 1. 2, I was reading an article yesterday, just for a matter of curiosity, on the digital transformation of public services. There is one data point that I would like to put to people here. Anybody knows in January what were the total number of UPI transactions that India had? Anyone, any guess? It was to the tune of 8,038 crores. And the amount of money which was transacted was 12.98 lakh crores in 1 month. And it has been regularly increasing. So imagine India of 10 years back, when there was a very, very limited way of sending money from one place to the other, and it was only through NEFT or other means. Today, even a 20 rupee chai purchase can be done through the UPI devices or on that platform. That is what has brought in a change in the way citizen services, public services are being delivered and are being demanded. Third area is that today all of us are standing here as citizens of India thanks to the major effort put in the digital space by our, most of them importantly, IT infrastructure, IT service, government services, and I must say the bureaucrats who took on them to avoid the so-called forecast of catastrophe in India due to COVID. All that is a case study, and these are nothing but efficient digital public services. Without much ado, I would like to set up the context of this meeting around these areas. We have on panel large number of people who are holding different positions in government space and are driving many, many programs in changing the very nature of government public services from a reactive to a proactive services, from manually driven or audited routine jobs to AI-driven services, so that the reach is going in a much efficient manner, from a certificate-tuned system of government to a certificate-less, and from a demand to a proactive management of the demand activities. Industry participation in this area has been welcome. Our policies are quite conducive, and some of the case studies that have transformed and are being done by our set of people on the dais, we could name few of them. From a speed perspective, e-Seva public services have changed the very concept of how an important identity of a passport can be delivered from n number of days to n number of hours, how digitally based your driving licenses can be delivered at demand, the entire cost efficiency, ease of doing transactions in the income tax filing has been done. These are all digital-powered public services, and from a transaction automation to a process in which these elements are taken as to what the citizens are demanding today is what is being done. So with this context, this is the change you are reimagining the services from an active to proactive arena. I would set the two fundamental rules, since the sponsors have given me just about 65 minutes to conclude. 5 minutes we'll keep for open discussions. I'll ask each co-panelist 2 questions, and I would request all of them to be within the time frame of answering both the questions around 5 to 6 minutes each. That is how we'll do it. First question, and you can answer for about 3 to 4 minutes. Subsequent question, you can see how the time is there with us. So may I start the panel, please? Mr. Amit Sharma, he is Secretary, Department of Mines, Jammu and Kashmir. He is with us. He's traveled all the way from Srinagar and Jammu to be available to us to talk to the participants and delegates here around what Jammu and Kashmir is implementing in the state from a digital side to offer better, fast, and much more needed services in the state for the citizens.
Thank you. Thanks to GovConnect team also for giving us this opportunity to share our perspectives. Here I would like to say that regarding citizen services, a lot of initiatives are being taken, especially post 2019, when the major change in the constitution took place. You all know, post abrogation of Article 370 I am talking about. Till it has become union territory, we have seen ampton changes in way Jammu and Kashmir is working now, the real development model. Why I'm saying so? Because I was directly associated with the technology. I was previously Secretary Information Technology, IT J&K. I was also holding the charge of CEO J&K eGovernance agency, and we were pushing reforms from one end to other end. And couple of things I'll share, and at present also I'm pushing technology to the best possible levels so far as mining sector in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. So just to talk about some couple of those things which are really game changers so far as the way public is seeing things happening and the way we have been performing over the years. See, when I joined civil services, I'm talking about 2 decades ago when we started our journey, and today where we are. We tried to implement e-office in one form or the other. I remember TCS had come first, initial few years. I saw them struggling in civil secretariat to implement e-office and like this. But it just remained a distant dream for whatever the reasons. But after 19, this thing happened. We pushed it to the level, like we made it time bound. We reached a level in which now e-office is a complete reality. I would be glad to share with all of you that we are totally on a paperless office model in the UT of Jammu and Kashmir. Not even a single file moves on paper. So totally paperless offices, and which has resulted into so many good things. Not only to talk about, office efficiency, but even the ecological, constraints, like we are now totally using this model, e-file mode, and both the secretariats are functional 12 months. Capital used to move earlier from Jammu to Srinagar and Srinagar to Jammu during summers and winters respectively. Now everything is changed. Capital seniors move, like we secretaries, LG, governor, probably chief secretary, sir, all move. We keep moving, rotating at different places, but the files we are disposing of, even sitting here, I was doing my office work. So this is where we have brought about the change. We are working seamlessly in a very open manner. every work is happening, and all 12 months both the secretariats are working, and we have even saved the burden of almost rupees 500 crore on the struggling UT exchequer. So this has become a game changer. And similarly, we are now provisioning every service online to the citizens of JK. No service is available offline. Even if people struggle, we have told them, get used to it. Initially, struggle is there because they are used to going to offices, getting their works done like that, but nothing doing. Right from all urban development department related things, say municipality related things, hospital related things, or any single form. Say in mining, I'll give you example of my present department. I have made it totally again paperless. No physical challan is being allowed, only 100% implementation of e-challan is there. So you can only operate through that, and I have even gone a step ahead. We have created e-marketplace on the pattern of Amazons and Flipkarts. We are selling all mining material, related construction material through that e-marketplace, and we are pushing people to purchase through that only. So mining is totally gone online, and all mining department services are online now. So there's no question of any offline service, be it excise taxation department, be it tourism department, any department you talk about. So we are totally on that mode now. More than around 400 services we are provisioning at present in a totally online mode. So citizen-centric approach is there. You have to fill up the fees, nominal fees online, and you will get the certificates there only. Land records, we have made totally online. Total digitization, all 20 districts of the Union Territory are online. People don't have to run before, you know, the notorious thing was there, patwaris make you move around in circles. So nothing doing, everything is online. We are even now reached next level where we are even checking the locations of our persons through geotagging, where they are moving, where they are not, if they are sitting in their offices or not during office hours. And so many other things have happened. Like the story is unending. If I talk about citizen-centric services, which we are offering in the UT of Jammu and Kashmir. So I only think that this is the only way to move further forward, bring total transparency, and achieve the ultimate goal of digital India. We are already on digital Jammu and Kashmir mode. Cyber security policy is very much in place. The new cyber security policy has come in force. All government websites are getting properly audited. Everything is being streamlined in all kinds of departments, and now there is no looking backwards. You see, the motto out there is we are Union Territory at present. Probably in future we may go in for a popular mode, that is elections. But we want to take systems to that level that there is no chance of any reversal. Public also gets addicted to online services, and there should not be any requirement to move around officers, people, or for that matter, any kind of middlemen to get your works done. So this is how we have moved step by step in last 2 years, and now I can proudly say that we have reached a level, and online public grievance system is there. Our LG himself addresses public every month, all districts. He would be approachable to the public. They can write their grievances. We have on the pattern of Man Ki Baat, we have Awam Ki Awaaz. Similar kind of thing in which our LG picks up a burning topic. Honorable LG sir talks to the public and tries to reach between them. So the distance between public and the administration has also been removed by such medium. So I believe now we are in level next, and this model can be replicated in many other places the way people want. We are ready to share our good practices.
Thank you, Amit. Small anecdote. We were, as a family, in Kashmir during the year-end holidays. I could personally see a transformed Jammu and Kashmir from a connectivity perspective, from a road from Srinagar to Gulmarg, excellent road.
Yes.
I can fairly say that having traveled abroad, in India, some of the best roads have been constructed, but that road has no parallel.
No parallel.
So even an aeroplane can perhaps run on that road.
Yes.
Smoothly. That is so smooth, cool. For kilometers it runs that way. And similarly, wherever we went out for food, we could pay through the UPIs. We didn't carry Indian rupees or rupees in kind.
Correct.
We did all financial transactions through UPI.
Right.
So that was a very redeeming element. And so otherwise, in 1915-16 when we went, we had a different experience. This has made our family to say that come March, when there would be a big tulip garden,
yes,
we should again go there. And I talked to my cousins in UK. Incidentally, my brother-in-law had studied his medicine from Jammu, from Srinagar Medical College.
Right.
He's now almost 75. He said, college ke din yaad aa gaye.
Okay.
We would now plan, and they are coming in September.
So like you, many others, like we had historical number of tourists which poured in Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir. Vaishno Devi always touches 1 crore religious tourism pilgrims. And similarly, like we have, just to talk about the developmental model, in fact, Jammu is known as city of temples previously, but I would say now it has become city of education. We have an IIT in Jammu, we have an IIM in Jammu, we have AIMS in Jammu, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, we have central universities in Jammu, and many big educational institutions are pouring in. So it is not wrong to say now it is becoming an educational hub also. And development, we have got metro work going on already, the metros are coming up, Katra express highways, coming up very well, which will be connecting like Katra, Amritsar, Delhi, expressway. This would be exclusive shortcut road to Kashmir. Railways is at the final brink, Kori Bridge. It was a technological marvel, like now it has come up successfully. It is even height is more than Eiffel Tower. So this is again a technological marvel. And similarly, so many things are happening, like we have a lot of inaugurations coming up in J&K, as I said, AIMS campus, IIM campus. The work is going, humongous work is going in a very fast track manner. So these highways, we have got ring roads which are coming up, as you rightly pointed out, semi-ring road in Jammu, big outer ring road in Srinagar. So cities are transforming like anything, and it is visible now. The times actually tell that how is that change? Change is not only in terms of infrastructure, but also in terms of technology which is being used aptly and the way. And just to add on yesterday's news only, we have in this year of G20 presidency in our nation, India has got its first lithium reserves, that too discovered in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, erstwhile state now UT. I can proudly share with all of you, we have got 5.9 million tons of lithium. G3 study reports were handed over by Union Secretary to me yesterday only in Delhi. And now it is going to be a game changer. As we all know that our mobiles run on lithium batteries, electric cars run on lithium batteries, and it will really help us to realize our dream of Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is the need of the hour. So I believe J&K is perfectly platformed so far as, taking India to level next. Now we are on the global map because of these lithium reserves, because nowhere in the country it was ever explored, and first time it has come in our UT. So lots to happen in times to come.
Thank you, Amit. I think more e-governance or digital transformation is carried out, the leveler of change will happen. Citizens will feel less and less pain and less discretion to people. That is how Kashmir issue could be sorted out in certain ways.
Definitely. Development in itself is an answer to so many things. Even in public, RAS system is there. We are #1 in the UTs. So we are almost topping amongst all the UTs so far as so many activities are concerned. So list is, long. I believe other co-panelists should also get their due share. So a lot of things are there. So I request everybody to visit J&K, invest in J&K, and explore in J&K to know where we are now, as rightly pointed out by our moderator, that we are at level next. And seeing is believing, as he felt now. So I invite all of you on behalf of our UT government to come explore and become a part of this ongoing change mission, transmission in Jammu and Kashmir.
So we now move to Mr. Virender Sharma. Mr. Virender Sharma is IAS and Secretary, Food and Food Commissioner in the state of Himachal Pradesh. He has had a wonderful career. He recently joined the food department, but prior to that, he was also running the entire education program of Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan in the state. He has been instrumental in seeing the COVID period and how the education could still be provided when schools and all were closed. Providing continuous education, I think, is one of the biggest challenges and a service to humanity. Because if you don't teach young kids properly in the age group of 4 to 9 or 4 to 10, researchers show that for every 1 year loss, they lose almost 7 years of their knowledge over a period of time. This is a Harvard study. Also, 80% of our values, our way of life, is a function of what during the formative years from 3 to 9 years we are programmed to. That is where you start learning, that is where you start adapting yourself. Unfortunately, we see many people, there was a study which was done in Harvard University recently, which showed that it just touched one point, why children of poor families remain poor and why children of affluent families or better families have a propensity to be better off in the longer term. And what came out was, between the 3 years to 9 years, kids mostly in those family groups perhaps are programmed to see hardships to such an extent, depravity to such an extent, they start believing in depravity. They start believing that they will not go up. Hardly few of them then rise. Whereas it's the other way around, because that's the value system other kids are tuned to. So Virender ji has been instrumental in the state of Himachal towards delivering the continuous education during the COVID and post-COVID period. He has also been instrumental in looking at what changes the National Education Policy 2019-20 have brought in. I would request him to throw some light on his experiences and the transformational changes that he has brought in the state during the toughest period that humanity went through.
Greetings and gratitude to the organizers of the event and Mr. Kaushal. I've had about 2.5 years tenure in Department of Education, looking after the prestigious Magra Shiksha project of Government of India and also the Department of Elementary Education. While Mr. Kaushal made a reference to the COVID period, but before I go into that, I'll take you to two very important reports which came out somewhere in the month of December 2021. Both of them brought out, one by World Bank, UNESCO and UNICEF, and one just by World Bank. One report which is titled as Mission Recovering Education 2021, and the second report, The State of Global Education, The Path to Recovery. Now, I'll just tell you what the crux of these two reports are. One report says that about 2 billion children were affected during the COVID times. And as a result of the adverse impact of COVID, they stand to lose about 17 trillion US dollar in their entire lifetime. Now this 17 trillion US dollar would constitute about 14% of the world GDP. That is one. Another interesting statistics is that the learning poverty, because of this COVID, has increased from 53% to 70%. There are evidences from countries like Sub-Saharan Africa, Latin America, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and a part of the Southeast Asian Peninsula that the COVID has exacerbated inequities. Girl, young children, the poor, disabled, they suffer more. This is what precisely Mr. Kaushal was also corroborating on the basis of some Harvard study. And the young tend to lose more than the older ones. Now, you look at national education policy, a reference that was also made by the moderator. And also if you look at the developmental paradigm of a child, there are two very interesting things. One is just one academic part of it. One is a very beautiful theory called Piaget's theory of learning. And another very interesting thing which was given by Sigmund Freud, a famous psychologist. Both of them say one thing, that about 85% of the development, this is what you find a very specific mention in first 4 or 5 pages of the national education policy also, that 85% of the development of a child takes place in first 8 years. Now look at these two very contrasting statistics. The young tend to suffer more because of COVID, because of the availability or the inavailability of the remote learning, access to digital devices. So the young tend to suffer more and the older ones get the benefit, and at the same time 85% of the brain development takes place at the age of 7 to 8 years. Now imagine what kind of effect or impact this thing would have, that the young tend to suffer more. So now when the COVID thing happened, at that time I had just moved into the Department of Education. Now imagine 3rd week of March 2020, all of a sudden we feel that the COVID cases are rising in China. The strains have also been found in other parts of the world. We need to complete shut down the country and let not anybody come from other parts of the world to our country with this infection, or to act as a carrier of the infection of the strain. And all of a sudden the schools are shut. They were the first to be impacted. And then most of the states, even the good convent English medium schools, they were absolutely clueless as to what to do with this kind of a situation. We were also in the same boat. Mind you, Himachal is 5th in terms of the literacy in the entire country, in terms of states. So the 5th best performing state in education is also at a loss as to what to be done when the schools are completely shut. How do you impart education? How do you ensure that the learning outcome levels are still delivered, are still measured, and the education does not suffer? There are a number of stakeholders which you also had to bring in when you deliver quality education: the parents, the teachers, the civil society, obviously the students, and the state educational setup. So then there was one initiative that we started, which was e-Samvad. About a week, 10 days back only, we had the opportunity of making presentation for the Prime Minister National Excellence Awards for in Public Administration. So that is also one of the listed entities, shortlisted entities for Prime Minister Award. Let's see whether it gets or not. But that is one initiative which found a mention in Brookings International Journal also, that this is something which is really delivered in the country. Now, where does this technology or the digital learning, the entire conclave is about the digital transformation or the improved e-service delivery or improved service delivery, where does this actually figure in? In 3rd week of March, when this COVID happened and the state started figuring out as to what would you do when this kind of a situation happens, how would you ensure that the education continues? So the first thing was how to connect with the parents. The movement was stopped. If you remember, it was a 21-day complete lockdown. Nobody would move here and their only passes would help. How do you connect with the parents? How do you tell the parents that what is to be taught? There are a number of parents, especially of the students who are studying in the government schools, who are not educated, who are not tech savvy, who do not use a smartphone or use maybe only 1%, 2% of the features of the smartphone. So how do you tell them? So then we started this e-Samvad where we could connect to the parents by simply blasting messages that this is the homework for the today. WhatsApp group, as it happened in most of the states, that was formed. Homeworks, videos, worksheets, they were delivered. There were plenty of challenges. Teachers, they were not used to any kind of digital enablement. They didn't know how to make a video. In fact, I'll not be surprised if 1/4 of the people sitting in this hall say that even we don't know how to make an educational video. Leave aside TikTok and other things, or leave aside making a reel on Instagram, but making an educational video with the academic content also on the screen, it's a very difficult job. So those things had to be taught, and then came the technology. So then technology ensured that you have something called artificial intelligence. A student is reading, how much is he reading? Are you really able to track a student? Generating some unique ID for every student through that app only. We could find partners at the national level who could come in Himachal gratis at no cost to Himachal Pradesh and then start delivering the education. Now, there were plenty of things. I don't want to go into the details, because then it becomes an hour-long presentation on how eSanvad has delivered and what were the outcomes. But looking at the future and looking at what technology can do, precisely what the aim of this conclave is. In India, in the year 2021, right after COVID, there is something called National Achievement Survey that Government of India conducts, which actually measures the learning outcome. Now, those of us who have had education, completed their education, say about 15 years back, would not know what this is. But there is a framework now that exists in the Government of India, which says, for example, that a child in class 1 should be able to read number from 1 to 20, should be able to identify things, figures from 1 to 9. For example, 2 apples, 5 oranges, something like this. And should be able to do a single digit subtraction and addition. A class 2 child should be able to do double digit addition and subtraction, should be able to identify numbers from 1 to 99. And this sequence goes on for class 3, 4 and 5. So these are the measurable learning outcomes. So now, since there has been a significant loss in education, so now where does the technology need to come in? One, can we really have something kind of a personal adaptive learning in the country? It's not a new concept. There are countries in the world, for example, the moderator made a reference to Turkey. It also has one of the very good education system in the world. Let me tell you, Turkey has the second highest access to higher education in the world, about 94.5% precisely. So can we have something called personal adaptive learning, which is completely technology based thing? I don't think any state in India is implementing it as on date. That is one. Can we actually look at creating a repository of educational content only, which can be implemented across all the states? Can we really have, for example, if those of you who actually travel to Gujarat, they have implemented something called Vidya Samiksha Kendra. Karnataka has also done, many other states are doing it. Can we look at something like a Vidya Samiksha Kendra, which actually monitors the learning outcome, maintains the anecdotal and cumulative record of the students, and also monitors the teacher presence and teacher delivery? These three areas, if we are able to handle, I'm pretty sure that with the help of the teachers who have the knowledge, who have the capability, who have the motivation to deliver, and with the assistance of the technology, with three broad areas which can be extended to 6, 7, 8 areas also, only then I believe that with the help of digital enablement and with the help of the teachers who are there, we'll be able to take India to a global level, where even today we talk of only a handful of Indian educational institutions making it to top 100 educational institutions across the world. Only then I believe that we'll be able to deliver an education where we will produce students who would truly make a mark at the international level, and where the education of India would really be recognized as one of the leading education systems in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Just to add on to what you said and what Amitji said, again I'll go back to my experience in Jammu, Kashmir. And the reason I'm just trying to tell that anecdote is if both of you can meet after the meeting and discuss few good case studies that you talked about. So this driver of R, Usman Haq, he was with me for 5 days. So when I was about to leave for Delhi, I asked him, and for the first 4 or 5 days, I just kept quiet. On the last date, I asked him, your assessment of Article 370 being implemented here, and he was a Kashmiri Muslim. He kept quiet, he didn't say anything. I just also didn't bother beyond that. Then I said, any regrets? He said, I do carry a regret, and I have 3 kids. For almost 2 years, because of COVID, everything was closed. And then came Article 370 imposition, the word he used. and the whole city was closed, schools were closed. Only about a month and a half back, my kids have started going to the school. Class 4, class 6, and class 7 were when these three things happened, and the kids were there. He says, I have passed out from Srinagar. I drive a taxi. He was a graduate. And he says, I know what difficulties I had in learning during my school time. I don't know कि मेरे बच्चे कभी पढ़ भी पाएंगे या नहीं जब उन्होंने अपनी बचपन खाली घर में ही खेला है. So I think that's what citizens are feeling, where all these things have happened. Jammu Kashmir may have 1 year extension, others have got 2 years loss. And then school infrastructure is yet to be equipped with all the infrastructures, especially the government schools, with how the technology has to be implemented. Himachal has taken a lot of good actions because their schools are dispersed because of the hilly terrain. And so is Jammu Kashmir. In case the state of Jammu can expedite the adoption of some of the case studies or the projects that you have done, sir, that could perhaps be a good cooperation to set in. And we from Deloitte would be happy to facilitate. I personally drive a lot of programs and projects in my company around education sector. Mr. Sanjay Kumar, who is the secretary of school education, is a very good friend of mine. He was responsible for school education, college education transformation in Bihar. So I have some experience in implementing some of the things in far-flung areas where networks was always an issue during the post-COVID period time. So if something pro bono, we could offer some services in Jammu Kashmir and other places. So I'd like now to move to Mr. Nitin Sangwan. He is Director IT Gujarat, and coming from a state which is known for tremendous amount of technology adoption. When other state governments were perhaps thinking to start an IT roadmap, they had implemented most of the applications, and I was happily associated with a program like GIFT a long time back. So my question to him would be very simple. Since you have seen the first two curves of e-governance, and now we are moving into the digital or reimagined government services where Industry 4.0 tools would be used. So my question to you is, sir, how is the state government planning to leverage AI or blockchain as initiatives to deliver digital services if you are trying to use those technologies?
Thank you for this question and for inviting me to this August forum. I think you talked about one thing when you were talking about education, that education and poverty and deprivation, I think at large, that there is some lag, I mean, which some social scientists have termed as cultural lag, because the society and the systems and institutions move at a pace which is slightly faster than the common masses and fail to adopt according to that. And also there is a larger atmosphere in which people tend to believe in certain way. So I think this is the one thing which we need to overcome in the government first. There is a sort of technological lag which is there in the government for various reasons, because perhaps governments are not as agile as say Deloitte is. You have your policies in place in which the recruitment can be faster. You can deploy the best people. That doesn't happen in the government. And this is the one reason that many ambitious e-government projects fail in the government. Hundreds of crores rupees are invested and they simply fail. The same companies, Infosys, TCS and others, who do magnificently well, they simply fail. The one reason for that is it's not about technology that is so important. I mean, I can simply stick to say .NET of yesteryears and still do wonders in the government setups, rather than talking about AI or ChatGPT. This is one thing which I have learned from my experience so far. So rather than, you know, talking about which technology to implement and how to implement that, I think we need to focus upon more what we need, you know, through technology, and what are our objectives in that, and how that can be implemented. It's very, very beautiful to talk about, you know, AI and artificial intelligence, but I still feel, despite all the leaps and bounds that we have made in certain areas in governance and digital governance, that still a lot of rudimentary technologies need to be implemented in a lot of service deliveries. If, you know, today we are talking about e-office and other solutions in the government. Fortunately, I was incidentally, not fortunately, I was working in Infosys, and I actually worked in the same city as one of my first jobs, say 13 years back. Even at that point of time, the complete HRMS, you know, the all project management, it was completely digital. And in the government, we are still struggling to, you know, handle files. So according to me, it's slightly unfair to, you know, that we will be immediately adopting blockchain. That cultural lag or the technological lag is still a big impediment in the government. At the grassroots levels, we still struggle. One of the, you know, most sensitive sectors, the finance sector in India, it adopted technology a long time back. I mean, the core banking solutions were implemented, and what could be more sensitive than this thing? And today in the government, we are still saying, you know, we will make files movement online. So this is a sort of, you know, the mental blockage that we need to overcome before we think about AI and, you know, other sort of automation. Certainly that will be useful, because as we, you know, see emergence of a lot of new technologies, say in terms of GIS and artificial intelligence, certainly that will be going to help. But before that, we need to do a lot of process engineering in the government. Even now, we have so many compliances which are simply unnecessary. Whenever the processes are designed in the government, they are simply replicated what they exist in, you know, in physical form right now. The same are replicated. So for that, before doing, you know, such kind of big expansion in technological area, we need to rethink what are the things that we can remove and what are the things that we need to keep. So this is my opinion. I mean, certainly we can definitely adopt, but for that you need the right people also in the government. I think it's the story with all the state governments that a lot of dependency is there on the consultants like Deloitte, and there is simply no capacity in the government. So first we need to recruit such people in the government who can provide the continuity in the government, that, you know, one officer goes and the other officer comes. So it is there is no institutional memory in the government. These are some of the challenges that we need to overcome before we talk very, you know, we have very, very tall buzzwords in our bureaucratic corridors. Certainly, new initiatives are coming in the government, like, you know, PM Gati Shakti. As a kid, we were thinking that why this road was dug by somebody when it was just laid, just to lay one more cable. So new solutions like PM Gati Shakti will definitely overcome, and they will be perfected through use of emerging technologies like, you know, GIS, multiple layerings and all. But I see that, you know, adoption of AI and machine learning and stuff is still, say, a couple of years ahead from now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sangwan. I think these are grassroots problems, and gradually one will go into the next phases. As far as the new technologies are concerned, there is a scope of definite induction, and perhaps once implemented in some case studies in smaller scale, then they can be seen to be giving the desired results. One of the areas is the tremendous amount of repetitive works that is being done. Certain case studies can be made as to avoid those manual driven to machine learning languages. And the things will be similar to what, because you are not hiring people as you were hiring people much earlier. So those are the challenges that you definitely face. Capacity building, as you pointed out, of the government workforce is a constant endeavor, and everybody is putting efforts, and I'm sure in Gujarat government as well as in many other state governments, A lot of efforts are being put in. Luckily, we have two colleagues here on the panel from SEMT who are working very closely with the two local state governments here. I'll also be addressing this problem to them, how they are helping the capacity building of the state governments on a continuous basis, as you touched upon. So we have Deputy Secretary, Department of Information Technology, Mr. Bharani, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly.
Bharani.
Okay, from Delhi government. Sir, my question to you is very simple. We live around Delhi and NCR, and we see an explosive growth in the urban areas. Massive amount of change of the quality of life, people, clusters developing, urbanization at the peak, solutions being created, but capacities getting constricted. So when you have such a huge population and such a huge fast-paced population to face, one of the areas which comes to our mind is you would be having more and more technology innovations and additional applications incrementally being put in. That means a great pressure on the digital infrastructure. There comes in the security-related issues. And there comes in the cyber security-related issues and the vulnerabilities around it. My question for people working here is to understand what Delhi government is actually doing to proactively mitigate the threats that in such an evolving urban milieu, how the government of Delhi is preparing itself.
Thank you, Mr. Kaushal. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me here. So you're absolutely right. With the advent of digital citizens and with this digital transformation that we're talking about, and with e-governance that we are undertaking across the country, cybersecurity is one of the key things and the key pillars that we should look at. Just to highlight the scope of e-governance services that Delhi provides, one of the e-governance services that we provide, our e-district portal for citizen services, has over 90 lakh registered users, and every year we generate around 60 lakh certificates, and we're seeing a 200% year-on-year growth in this portal. So in this context, cybersecurity becomes very critical. So Delhi government is undertaking a variety of operations for cyber security. I'll just summarize a few of them very shortly here. So first of all, Delhi Police has a state-of-the-art cyber security unit called the IFSO, which is Intelligence Fusion and Strategic Operations, for battling cyber crimes, financial frauds. Apart from this, Delhi government has an in-house audit team of certain empaneled security professionals for auditing each of the applications and each of the service that Delhi government provides. Recently, we undertook an audit of 60 departments of the services that 60 of our departments provides, and every new application that we develop and every new service that we provide is audited before it is made public. Apart from this, we are working on a CCMP policy, which is a cyber crisis management policy. This will be a standardized mechanism for response and recovery. Basically, under this program, there will be an information security officer at the level of each department, who will be headed by a chief information security officer, a CISO, who will look proactively at threats, and who will look and the focus will be on how quickly we are able to recover from any threat. What is the turnaround time for recovery from any attack or any threat? So this CCMP will be monitored on a quarterly basis with a quarterly stock taking at the level of the secretary and the chief secretary. Apart from this, as part of our mission for 2023, we are working on a futuristic data sharing policy and a password policy. And one of the visions we have for 2047 is to come up with a future-ready IT policy where cybersecurity and data security will be one of the core elements. In addition to all of this, we are also using emerging technologies. So Delhi is the first city in India to use blockchain for securing our forensic portal. So our EFSL portal has been made tamper evident using blockchain technology, and we're the first city to do it. We just rolled out this portal very recently. So in addition to all of this, overall, we are moving towards a more proactive approach to cybersecurity. We are moving away from on-premise servers to more towards virtualization and towards secure cloud services for all our portals. Our e-district portal, which provides services from 40 departments and provides 400 services, is hosted through a MATI empaneled cloud. So we are moving away from on-premise servers to reduce the possibility of attacks and to reduce the number of attack vectors that are available. So overall, we are moving towards a more futuristic and a more future-ready policy in terms of cybersecurity.
Thank you. I think one of the biggest holocausts, if I can use that word because it affected the life of many, was recently in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, where suddenly things stopped, and you can imagine what it would have cost. So Delhi is the state capital, is under the limelight of the attackers all the time. I believe that when you talked about future ready, you are factoring all these elements in it, and it's a good thing to see that Delhi state is getting ready or is almost ready to face any of those elements. So I'll now move to two of our experts here. They are SMT heads of Haryana and Punjab state government. Time running out, I have already got two messages that I should be fast in handling the things. So Munish is SMT head for Haryana government. I would ask him to, in 2 or 3 sentences, tell about what SEMT is all about, because in one of the things some people asked me, ये क्या करते हैं SEMT वाले NICSI से अलग? So I thought I'll put that question to you, sir. And how do you see SEMTs getting geared up for the emerging technology explosion, if I can use that word, in the government space? Because at the end of the day, like Mr. Sangwan pointed out, capacity constraints and actual position on the ground and governance related issues are far more important to be handled on a day-to-day basis than to live in pace with the changing technology trends that are happening. And so governments have their own pace, technology has its own pace. How would you, as a bridge in between, be working around that?
Thank you. Thank you. Sir, SEMT, आपने पूछा what exactly SEMT is doing. SEMT is facilitating, it is into the advisory, it is into the implementation, it is everything which IT sector should do in the operational digitalization or in the implementation part of it. Besides advisory, consultancy and designing of RFPs and DPRs as part of our KRA, we are into operations, we are into implementation, we are into coordination and all sort of activities which require one project to be successful. So that is one part what SEMT is doing. With time, SEMT has increased its mandate from only into the advisory part, writing documents, technical documentation, to the actual implementation. So we were we are supported by the administration. Our Honorable Chief Minister is heading the IT department. I am also heading as SEMT head for J&K. There also the main focus of the government the Chief Secretary, the Honorable LG, they are focusing IT on a very large and a very precise manner. The point here is that the experts can only deliver when the support of the administration is there. So we are blessed that we have the support from both the administrations, and we are running multiple IT projects to the scale of, say, if I talk about 1 or 2 projects, we are having eKhareed, that is an online procurement portal for all kinds of crops in Haryana on MSP, and I'm glad to say that around 65,000 crores in last 2 years we have delivered online into the bank accounts of farmers, to the commission agents, to the multiple agencies. So this is a transformational product which was delivered and developed in-house. So from small systems to actually large and mid-cap systems, we are actually developing that in-house. COVID was, though a distressful period for everybody, but COVID taught us many things. We, I must say that from the idea where Haryana having the capacity, in-house capacities, we were creating systems in-house, and we were not only doing it for our state, but we were offering those solutions to other states free of cost. So that is the kind of capability and the capacity which Haryana right now has. And I'm also glad to say that we recently entered into an MOU with the government of Jammu and Kashmir, and that pro bono exchange of information and best practices that we are facilitating. SCMT, sir, individually we can't do anything. One body cannot work individually and deliver things. We are working as a team with our IT department, our NIC, our HeartRon, and all the resources. We are such a cohesive team. I am lucky to have my SIO is also sitting here. We are working as a team, fully bonded team, and all our systems talk to each other, and within minutes the information exchange happens. From normal websites, we are creating API engines and enterprise level architecture designs which are talking to each other. Models like Parivar Pehchan Patra, that is a family database which is created, one of its kind, and it's being replicated in other parts of the country also. That is the platform based solution which is talking to all other platforms, and data exchange is happening. Auto appeal system is one such solution where we are getting the transparency into the systems. Whenever there is a application which has crossed some time, it is automatically put on to appeal to the appellate authority for addressal. So this way the transparency into the systems have come up to a great extent, and SCMT is just an enabler to drive these things along with all other players.
Great. I move to Jasminder. Haryana government, in my reckoning of working in the last 28 to 29 years in this region, is something which I must say, from a technology perspective, they have been the early users. I have had a chance to work with Mrs. Keshni Anand when she was at Director HeartRon, then Director IT, and after that with many people here. They adopted technology very fast. Your NIC had some of the best applications that were created and implemented. Your records and the financial department applications on the treasury management has been stellar. My question to you was that to take it forward, whether there is a case for the new wave of technologies. So if that has not been adopted so far, I think it should be looked into. Sure. So Jasminder ji, citizen service is something which Seva Kendras, Seva portals, e-Seva portals have been doing across the country. Whereas in Punjab, similar services have been offered, and now with the new government in place, it is being reimagined. So my question from a learning perspective, as well as also in line with the topic that we have, reimagining public services, what are the 3 or 4 areas that you think are being architected in order to provide better, fast, much more cost-effective, transparent citizen services.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the query, sir. With regards to the change in the delivery of the e-services to the citizens, so as Alkesh sir in the morning today gave the direction that we have to move from e-governance to the digital governance. So the digital transformation journey across the country is happening. So the same has been adopted by the state, Punjab state also. As Munish just shared with us that state e-governance mission team has been helping the states across the country in achieving that digital journey for us, for the nation. So in Punjab also, the Seva Kendras moved from the district-driven Seva Kendras to a central-driven Seva Kendras in 2016, wherein the Sukhmani Society was then merged as a Punjab State E-Governance Society, and the whole new era of the citizen services started. Today we offer close to 50,000 services a day to the citizens, wherein different applications, schemes, services are applied by the citizen, and those are end-to-end implemented in a way that the government employee takes it to the approval. They approve or they send it back in case there is any document missing up in the application, or they need to send it to the officer concerned for the next level of approval. So those are the kind of the technical interventions that has already been done in the Punjab state. So the foremost important thing, as we all know, is the need of the hour is suo motu delivery of the services to the citizens. So in a similar way, Punjab is also thinking around the same. And we are now targeting to the very basic thing that starts from the early age, that when a person is born, a newborn baby is given the birth certificate there in the hospital itself. The parents need not visit the municipal corporation office or the nearest registrar office to apply for that. The hospitals are given liberty to apply on the parents' behalf, and while the mother and the newborn baby moves out of the hospital, they are handed over the certificate within 24 to 48 hours. Another thing under consideration is the area certificates also, in a similar way, suo motu delivery of the services, because the person is residing in a border area. He or she need not apply for that. They just visit and give their residence proof, and they can get the certificate. So the government is thinking on that level. Even we are thinking around that the way Haryana and Karnataka has done. Haryana has done the PPP model, the Parivar Pehchan Patra. So in a similar way, we are adopting a similar model in the state for Punjab. The idea is under consideration at the Chief Minister's office, that a family ID has to be given to every citizen, and a single citizen ID should be there, so that we can identify the citizen, and then the deduplication may happen from various schemes that the citizen or the beneficiaries get from the government's various schemes. Of lately we started on a smaller scale. We merged two databases of two different departments, and the state could manage approximately saving 100 crores from the fake beneficiaries. Out of that, the article is already there in the news, it's available on Google also. So you can imagine that by merging just two departments' databases, we can save 100 crore. So in case we merge the databases of all the departments, a single citizen is identified, so we can save crores or 1,000 crores of the amount from the public money. Another thing we have started is we are doing the e-signature and the digital signature for the certificates, wherein citizens can download. We have adopted the DigiLocker policy. The notification has already been out. So the digitally signed certificates are accepted for a large number of the services. The NAD has been adopted by almost all the institutes in the state, and the students report cards, the certificates are uploaded over there so that they can check out and they need not wait to go to the university and get that particular thing done or taken from the university. We are moving one step more further on the digitization, that setting up multiple platforms for the citizen to apply for various services. For example, as of now, we just had the Seva Kendras from the single window. We are moving to the digital platform, WhatsApp, mobile applications, so that citizen can apply from that. So these are the areas wherein we are moving to the digital world.
Thank you. Thank you, Jasminder. It's an excellent catalog of services that now citizens are receiving. I think in the next phase, since you are merging two different databases, they will be able to experience additional services faster and quicker. We have Raveesh Reddy here with us. He is the vice president in an organization called Quixy. Being an old person, I couldn't understand what this organization stands for. So I asked him, what do you do? He says, we do no code, low code. I couldn't even understand what does it mean. No code, low code, is it a product or what it is? He sat with me, explained me, and I think for the state government, Jammu Kashmir, represented here by Amit ji, by Mr. Sangwan from Gujarat, by other colleagues here who are connected with the digital space, I think they must hear in few words what this organization does and how it can help them to perhaps fast track one very pertinent issue which Mr. Sangwan brought about, capacity of people and the long stretched hours that they are in building applications for themselves. Over to you. I'll just request you to give top line activities of a company, what it does in not more than 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Garg for this opportunity, and thank you for putting it very nicely, Mr. Kaushal. As you said, instead of talking about the company, maybe you rightly said why we are not just as Quixy or any no-code, low-code. The entire panel spoke about everywhere you see, every state, there is a rapid development or something they are trying to do at a different pace than when we are doing earlier, right? So we have speaking about in education, or talking about any other department that we take in the state, or SEMT, they're trying to do a platform approach here. So trying to do things differently, instead of just saying differently, doing it at a different pace. To do that, like today, like Jasminder sir said from Punjab, citizen services that we are delivering, now we are not doing E, we are going from E to D, like from e-governance to digital. So in every department, that change is happening. How you are delivering is changing. So that means when this delivery changes or the way that you're working changes, the requirement for the application development keeps on coming. So I think Mr. Munish will agree with me why SEMT teams will keep on getting requirements from, or Jasminder sir will agree, keep on getting requirements, ad hoc requirements, new modules being developed, or new way to address that process, right? So the time has come where to adopt to a technology where do we completely rely on trying to do everything from scratch, and if I have to do from scratch, because these processes are new. Like I said, during the COVID, for education, how do we start? We stopped on day zero, and how do we start tomorrow? Nobody knew. So that means we think about a process, and we'll have to build that. If you adopt to technologies or technologies that take time, you don't see the result very fast. So you adopt to technologies like no code, low code, so that you can deliver faster and see the result faster. If that is not working out, scrap it and again start it. To do that, these platforms will help. I'm not just saying just no code, low code. There are technologies like that in every aspect. In application development, this is where the paradigm shift is coming, and state levels, nodal agencies, like SEMTs in many other states work with nodal agencies like MapITs or CSGs in Karnataka, or I think here DITs, SEMT works with DITs. So adopting to a platform like this will definitely give an edge to trying to deliver the services to the departments who are trying to think differently or deliver things differently, or the process that they are adopting to change the process, it's easier to develop applications. So adopt to this applications, we are happy to talk about what we are doing in other states or other nodal agencies to dignitaries here. So thank you very much for this opportunity, sir. Thank you, Kaushal.
Kaushal Saab, you mentioned technology talking to technology and how I just didn't want it to take Jasminder's time. Just 1 minute, I'll just add. Haryana has moved from traditional governance approach to proactive governance approach. So we are among the first few states, if not the first. Then we have our online platform as a service, this Parivar Pehchan Patra. We have offered 20,000 pensioners pension without them applying for it. So that is one part. The second is we have given them 5 lakh certificates proactively. Those certificates have gone to them without even applying for that. We have issued 13 lakh BPL cards without even applying. So this is the kind of proactive approach. The second is the technology talking to other multiple departments talking to each other. 19 departments have collaborated, and there is a scheme called Mukhyamantri Parivar Utthan Yojana, where the government is reaching out to the citizen, and the only mandate is that the Antodaya families, the families which have income less than 1.8 lakh rupees, we are trying to approach them, we are trying to offer them multiple plethora of services and see how the family members fit in which category. Suppose somebody has some skill, so we are trying to enhance that skill so that the livelihood increases. Or kind of loans to open up a shop or to have a small dairy in place so that the livelihood increases and the monthly income increases. So that is the second approach. The third is that we have around 660 odd services on our platform, Service Plus platform, we call that SARL. And for J&K we have, in very short time, we have reached 435 services within last 1 year. So this is the kind of e-governance which is bringing transparency and penetration into the people's life. And I must tell that 97% of the applications are processed within timelines. This is the kind of precision which we are doing. You earlier mentioned that cashless approach was there. Haryana per capita transaction count is around 14 and we are contributing about 9 crore transactions per month for the country's total. Being a very small state and having a 2.5 crore population only. For the cyber security, Haryana is again the first in the country to have a cert empaneled agency of its own. We are independent auditors. We are auditing all the government websites in-house. So that is again one plus point. Just wanted to touch these few points for the information of other stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now, Munish, the very purpose of this session was to highlight paradigm shifts in the public service delivery that is being done at the behest of senior decision makers like all the officers sitting here or on the dais, some of the people who came and addressed in the first session. Case studies that you talked about are excellent, and there is still a long way to go. New technologies that are emerging perhaps can be leveraged quickly, and that would bring in a faster change. I am no brand ambassador of my friend Mr. Raveesh because I just met him today for 5 minutes for the first time. I definitely should see Shark Tank every day. I must recommend today he must apply to them and say I met so many people in the government conclave, and perhaps they could be my future users. If you are successful in what you said, you can reduce the development time from 600 man-months to 200 man-months in one of the projects at Ministry of Defense in Naval. Hats off. Code, no code means application developers will use their perhaps assets to quickly write a code which each state government today is working in two directions. One, they are building their own capacities. Yes. Extreme high capacities are being built in-house, perhaps as a mandate from the top that government should be self-reliant. Most of the IT secretaries that I see are from IITs, and so they understand technology. India's situation in the last 20 years have changed from just accepting the e-governance as a model to really making it as something which is taken for granted. So therefore, your solutions, if you can work out, or similar things, can be used. With this, I must give my personal thanks to all the co-panelists who have delivered and talked to us about few initiatives which came to the top of their mind as far as the context of the session. I have learned a lot, what is being done in Jammu, what is being done in the education space, sensitivity towards kids' education, sensitivity towards cyber security, overall security, sensitivity to work towards the capacity building and solve issues of the public, and also strengthen the state initiatives. With that, if there are any questions that the audience would like to ask, more than happy to take 2-3 questions, but we are standing in between lunch and at the time, so let us know. If there are questions, more than happy to take. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much to all our esteemed guests at the panel discussion, and can we once again have a huge round of applause for each one of them for taking out their precious time and giving it their inputs, their precious views on it. And before we move forward for the next panel discussion, I would request Mr. Gaurav Agarwal, Vice President, India Region Automation Anywhere, to please present the mementos to our esteemed guests on our panel discussion. Yes, sir. No, you were okay. Thank you so much once again. And before we leave the stage, I would request all our esteemed guests to please come forward for the group photograph.